Here we All right.
Peace
Peace
and
and
blessings.
greetings. Peace and
Peace and
blessings.
greetings.
Greetings, greetings. We are back.
Right? How's everybody feeling?
Awesome.
Okay.
Great.
Oh,
Happy Monday morning.
doing good, doing good.
Oh, good.
Blessed. Blessed,
All
blessed.
right. So, welcome back to Divine Collective.
Divine Collective,
Divine
welcome back.
Collective. And with a new book. So, I'm excited about this.
Yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be
Yeah,
good.
yeah. The spirit of intimacy. So we're going to get started first with just a quick excerpt that's actually a part of the foreword in the book, because it sets the tone.
Mhm.
It sets the tone. James and I have read this book together a couple of times, and we don't want to give away too much of what we've experienced in it because we know that although there's going to be some synergy, right? Um, you're going to all experience it in your own way as well. So we don't want to taint that, right?
Right.
But we definitely didn't want to leave some really key parts of the forward out because it really does set the tone really nicely for what we're about to really experience
Right. Right.
in this book.
Yes.
Small but mighty, right?
Right. Right. And some people may have read this book before. I believe, like in spirit, when we do these things as a collective, there will be things that will show up and come to us that is supposed to be there for us, and the time is supposed to receive it. So, um, buckle up,
Okay.
and here we go. Here we go. So I'm gonna read a quick message from it real quick. So we have gradually learned from her name is
Sobonfu.
Sobonfu over the last several years that marriage, indeed any relationship, is a gift from spirit and requires our gratitude and a willingness to hear what spirit has brought us together for. We have learned that here in the West, just as in Sobonfu's culture, purpose is central to existence, and relationships are avenues for one's purpose to be expressed. Intimacy is not designed or encouraged for the achievement of personal happiness. Rather, it is for the fulfillment of one's life purpose, for the enrichment of the village, and for the expression of spirit. It is a means of offering the gifts you carry. These ideas are near how you say it?
Heresy.
Heresy. The ideas are near heresy to us with our sense of entitlement, the pursuit of happiness. But when it comes to matters of relationship, there is indeed a larger vision than we have imagined. We are culturally in our adolescent concerning intimacy. Again, we are culturally in our adolescence concerning intimacy. What is offered here in these pages are openings into an ancient culture whose wisdom can help us take the next step. One difficulty Westerners may encounter when reading Sobonfu's thoughts and ideas is that they are not always linear, building conceptually toward their conclusion. Rather, this book is a conversation. Ashe.
Ashe. So a few parts of that, right, that can already lend some insight into some of the, I think, the deeper dives that we're going to have here, right? Some of the deeper discussions. So the first part that we highlighted here was that marriage, and indeed in any relationship, is a gift from spirit that requires gratitude and a willingness to hear what spirit has brought us together for. So outside of our own personal happiness, just thinking about why did spirit need us to come together? Whether that us is you and another version of yourself, you and another family member, you and a friend, you any sacred relationship, you and your child, you and your parents, you and a sibling, why did spirit bring you two together? And then it goes on to say that in true intimacy in its cultural form, essentially it was about the enrichment of not only our individual life's purpose, but the purpose of the collective, the purpose of the community, right? The purpose of the village, the village. So it's so good already. So we're going to get started first with introducing. We wanted to lead with the excerpt so you get the tone of where this is going, and then also do some introduction a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Let's see. Okay. All right. Let us know if you can see that. Is it full screen? Can we see that? Thumbs up. Let us know.
Yes.
Okay.
Ashe,
Wonderful.
Ashe.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So we're back. We're back. We're back. Sacred relationships and exploring the goodness of the literature that's been out there to document so many of our ancient ways that we can gain insights from. But here we are, moving into our next book, which is The Spirit of Intimacy, the Ancient African Teachings in the Ways of Relationships. Let me just see if I can move this out of the way for us. Okay. So if you're new to the space, right, this book study, it's essentially a rites of passage. It's a way for all of us to journey through an experience, a literary experience that we then in some way reflect on in our own experiences and then expand on throughout the collective energy of the full group, the whole community, so that we can really free ourselves even more so from some of the self-imposed social constructs, but then the externally imposed social, constructs, and just kind of break down any barriers that are preventing us from moving into harmony in our relationship with ourselves or with others. So with that said, in this space, we always set an intention. It is a part of the experience, right? That we all get clear and really stitched in, if you think about like a quilt, that we're all stitched in together, that we are setting a collective intention in this space as we move forward. So we are James and Tanasia Polk, and we'll be helping to facilitate and guide the space, but we know that spirit is going to show up in it, and you all are going to show up, right? And the form of it will transform as we move through.
Right.
So with that said, our intention is to build a community in balance with the masculine and feminine energies, right? And we aspire to end generational trauma in our communities through healing and growth. And that's the intention that we set each and every call, each and every time.
Right.
From there, we then move into the affirmation.
And with this affirmation, we always like to do repeat and recall. So I'll say a sentence, and then if you in spirit want to repeat the sentence back, I always love to hear everybody's energy and feel it as we get started. So again, if you want to, you can unmute, and we will do the recite and recall. Ashe.
Ashe.
I am open to the wisdom within me.
I am
I am open to the wisdom within me.
I embrace the path of self-discovery.
I embrace the path of self-discovery.
I am ready to strengthen my bonds with others.
I am ready to strengthen my bonds
with
with others.
Together, we embark on this sacred journey.
Together, we embark
on
on
this
this
sacred
sacred journey.
Ashe.
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 Ooh, thank you for that. I feel it. I feel the collective. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
when you're feeling a bit of weight, it's like once we really set the intention and then we affirm ourselves, you can feel, the shift.
Yes.
You already feel lighter.
Ashe.
Give thanks. So when we're talking about our commitment in the space, right? So this is a healing journey, and it's intended to be deeply personal and transformative. The parts of it that you would like to share and you're feeling nudged to share, we encourage you to share, because the downloads are for us all, right? So when we move as a community, when we move as a collective, that aha moment that you're thinking is just for you, it's very likely that there are others, especially in this space where we've set this intention, that would need and love to hear it as well. So we are transmitters for each other in that. So our
Ashe.
commitment is to continue our journeys, to allow ourselves to feel and think deeply, and to really just stay connected. To stay
Ashe.
connected, right? So whatever it is that you put into this experience, right, it will then communicate in terms of what you get out of it. So that's the doing the work.
Ashe, and I'll just say you are absolutely correct. When you're in spirit and you feel whatever it is that you're going to share, like you said, sometimes that message is not just for you. It absolutely sparks something in somebody else that's like, wow, I feel the same way, or can we expand on that because I have questions, and you go further into it. And then reading this book, and we'll get into it, it really made me understand how our ancestors lived in community and how this is what we're going back to.
Yeah.
But you guys will see, if you haven't read the book before, it really goes back to our ancestral ways and how they lived in community together. So
Yes, yes, yes. And even as you say that, I'm so excited and charged up because, like we've experienced in the prior books, right? So we read Man Heal Thyself and the masculine experience. We read Sacred Woman and the feminine experience. And each time you read it, right? It's like the lines in the print have not changed,
right.
but we have. So the way we receive it, it's at a new level each time. So I'm really intrigued to see what's going to bubble up,
Right.
to the surface
Me
with
too.
this experience. So that's our commitment to each other, right? And the reason why this is the one and only page with commitment, because it doesn't have the guardrails of, you must read this many pages every week, right? Or, you must get your book, or there are no musts, right? This is a very free and flexible experience. You are going to get something out of the collective energy, no matter what. If you never even picked up the book and never even turned a page, just by being held by the spirit of this energetic circle, there's going to be things that are going to come to your awareness, and you're just answering the nudge to be here is going to be enough, right? But we just want you to just allow yourself the permission to feel and think deeply.
Ashe.
Ashe. So as we move into, I'm just letting someone else in. As we move forward, it's always great, and we do this every cohort, to just kind of level set on what we mean about spirituality, because we know that we all come from different walks. And one of the things that, not just outside of this circle, but just in general, sometimes can become a true barrier in building community is saying, well, I believe this and you believe that. And so now we have to have a barrier between us. And in this space, we really are seeking to remove all barriers. So it just means that this is a non-denominational space. No matter what your religious belief, no matter what your non-religious belief, right? Or anything in between, this space is still for you. You are still a part of this community. And so when we talk about spirituality, we're talking about it in the sense of your own personal journey through this lifetime. Right?
Yeah.
And if you have a belief that there is a higher energy of some sort that is in some way co-conspiring with you, right? Co-creating the experience with you as you're journeying through, that's what we refer to when we say spirit. So if your God has a specific name, that is wonderful, and you hold on to that, right? If your God does not, right, be open to whatever it is that intuitively comes for you. What we refer to is, you'll hear us say the divine, you'll hear us say most high, you'll hear us say spirit, because it is our way of inclusively acknowledging that there is a light that is shining, and that it is not just over us, but it is also shining within us. And that we have the ability to co-create in that experience. And so that's what we mean when we say this is a spiritual container, versus it being a religious container. So the difference with religion would be that religion is more so, there's a described belief system, right? So if you could think of like Christianity, there's a specific book, right? And there's specific narrative that everyone who in that religion will say, this is what we agree to as being our belief system. And therefore they self-identify as a part of that religious group. What we're saying is, in this space, no matter what group you self-identify in, this is your place of belonging.
Gotcha.
Because you can bring all your thoughts, all your spirit ideas here, have them, not have them, you know, in any way encouraged, you know, as far as like you separating from them, but also allow you to hear from everybody. So there will be Buddhists, there are Muslim, there's Christianity, you know, there may be atheists, right? I mean, you name it, right? In this space that
Right.
pass through, and all are welcome. So if you have friends, family, anyone else that you might have said, I don't know, you know, if they would be open to something like this because maybe you do know a little bit more about what their belief systems are. Just make sure that you're letting them know too that this is not an organized belief system or practice. This is more about allowing ourselves to be in the free flow and freedom of spirituality.
Gotcha.
All right. So with that said, we're going to go forward. There's two ways to communicate. Most of you are already in the joint group chat. So we know that there's a King's chat, there's a Queen's chat, and then there's that joint co-ed Divine Collective chat. It's a space where on any random occasion, if you feel like there's something you would you want to share, whether it's something that you came across and it was really uplifting to you or informative to you, or spirit just said somebody may need it, feel free to drop it into that space. Even if it's an offering that you are delivering, especially if it's an offering that you're delivering, because there's a trust and love that we build in our community that we really we show genuine interest, you know, for what's pouring through each of us. So yes, please, you know, share that in that joint group chat if you're feeling nudged to. Outside of that, even in the call, if we're discussing something, typically, you know, you'll just raise your hand and we'll, you know, immediately recognize, and then you'll be able to speak to what it is that you'd like to expand on. But if we've missed it in some way, or we move forward and you like to build further, drop that word build into the chat so that we know that there was something that we needed to go a deeper layer on. We don't want anyone to feel like we kind of glazed over the surface of a topic that you needed another layer to.
Right.
So.
And like we said, we look for the interaction. Because like we said, the messages come in spirit from, you know, whatever's in your thoughts and in your spirit. So please feel free, you know, like you said, raise your hand, whatever, but definitely just try to be interactive as we go through this. Because we want to pull out and dive into what we're reading and what spirit wants to show up for us.
Okay. Oh, and the other thing is you'll hear us say Ashe, right? And it's because in our Kemetic studies, right, of the ancient Egypt, right, also known as Kemet, or was Kemet, and now it's known as Egypt, rather. Ashe was a way of saying, it's kind of like saying amen, right? But it's a way of, it's an inclusive way of saying there's an agreement, right? That we agree, that we overstand, we understand, right? It's an energetic expression just to say, yes, right on, you know, like to have solidarity with whatever has come up through spirit in someone else, yourself, or in the space. So when you hear us say Ashe, that's what it means. It's a Kemetic way, ancient Egyptian way of saying, yes, I agree, you know, or to give that kind of nudge towards, yes, there's some synergy I'm feeling with what was stated.
Right.
All right. So here we are. This is the fun part, y'all. So now we're going to move into the actual co-ed book study, right? We gave a little bit of an excerpt from the foreword. In this first session, what we're going to do is we'll actually be reading the first couple of pages. If you have your book already, and if you haven't gotten it, I just want to kind of give you a visual. It's a tiny book. It's short, you know, it's a tiny book, but it is so impactful. And it just goes to show you don't need to be overly verbose in order to really create an impact, even in a book, right? And so with that said, each chapter is just a few pages, a few pages. What we wanted to do in order to make sure that everyone had a fresh start at the same time, whether you have your book or not, is we're going to move through the first chapter. We'll read it together. And what we're going to ask you to do as we read the first chapter together is to, if you have your book, feel free to highlight the things that are really coming to the surface and you're starting to feel something about, right? And or to journal quickly, just not a long, right? Not a long passage, right? But something that's going to help you to really get back to that thought later on, so that when we open the circle back up to the downloads and the sharing, that you remember the thought so that you can open share in the midst of it. So one of the things that we love, 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 love doing in the Divine Collective is breaking down our words. So especially those of us who have moved through Man Heal Thyself, right? And Sacred Woman, and anyone else who's been through any kind of a very dedicated healing experience knows that there's this time that you kind of start to really look at your words and you start to recognize how sacred they are, and you start to recognize how powerful they are,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so we really like to get highly focused and intentional about knowing what we're saying.
So I just to be honest and transparent, and I say this so people that know me, they know, especially the ones that have been on this journey with me in community. I was one that was not a reader. And I would read through a paragraph, and if I didn't know the word, it didn't matter. I'll just keep going. And I thought I knew what that paragraph said. But even if I skipped a couple of words, because you can put everything else together, right?
Yeah.
But I was wrong. Because as we got into this journey and the group and really understanding how each word really plays a part in what that sentence and the context of what it means, it opened up a whole new world. I've read things back that I read before, and I was like, I've read that before, but I never understood it because of that particular word. And the Kings notice too, even when we do it in our King groups, it changes everything. And I stop now at a word, and we have to break down and understand, well, what does that word mean?
Yeah.
And we'll do it to each other, even in our Kings group. Like, wait, hold on. What does that word mean? Because it really is important to take a second and understand what the word means and what the actual sentence or paragraph is really trying to say.
To be that intentional.
Yes.
And then that's also why we set intentions, right? It's why we speak out loud our affirmations, because we recognize they have weight.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this in the past on other cohorts, right? This idea of spelling, right? Spelling, because what does it do? It also creates like this spell over you. The thing that you've been stating all the time becomes a part of your actual experience, right? So we need to be so clear about what we're saying and intentional. So one of the ways we do that is each lesson will always focus on one word that we do a deeper dive of what we call the etymology of, right? And so the difference in a word that's being defined in its etymology versus just the standard definition is that if you look up a word like intimacy, for example, today, it's going to give you its modern day usual way and context of using the word. And it's going to say to you, well, this is how we use it in here, and here's how you put it in a sentence, right? And it's going to give you that modern, what would we call that? I guess the modern implications, right? Of what it is.
Yeah.
So what we do with the etymology is it tells us, where did this word even come from?
Right.
Because sometimes we can feel a certain energy on a word and not really be able to recognize why either it makes us feel like we want to recoil, or it makes us feel sad, or it makes us feel happy. We don't really necessarily sometimes understand why a word can either be triggering or even emotionally uplifting, right? But someplace in our DNA, our ancestors were using the etymological, right? Way of that word. And in the cells of our body, it understands, our body and our spirit understands where the word came from and its truth, not just the way it was used today. So each time we will always kind of explore what word is coming up. And so with the title being the spirit of intimacy, we're starting with our first etymology is with intimacy. So just reading here, it comes from the Latin intimus, meaning inmost, innermost, deepest, and most secret. Right? So it goes on to say intimus is the superlative of interior, inner and inside. Right? In late Latin, intimere meant to make known, to put into, to impress. By the 17th century in English, intimacy took on the meaning of closeness and familiarity and or friendship, right? So we need to know the root and how this word started to change, right? Because now we think about it in terms of closeness and all that and relationships, but in its infancy, when it started, all it actually meant was to have an innermost, inmost, deepest, most secret, right? So when you're thinking about how that then shows up in relationships now, right? If you go beyond what we think intimacy means, right, in its modern day form, and we think about what it means in our ancient way of being and in our DNA, it's whatever it takes to bring a sense of deep revealing to each other, right? Whether no matter who this is, right? It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, right? Intimacy is about going inside and somehow sharing, another layer. So the very root of intimacy is about going inward. It's into the deepest, most hidden layers, and then making that known or shared. Right? So we are hiding parts of who we are from people. We can't have intimacy. If we are hiding parts of who we are from ourselves, we can't even have self-intimacy, right? So here we are, right? This is our etymology of intimacy.
That was just so powerful. Just stop there real quick. No, because it was so powerful, right? It's not even just about, with others, about yourself.
Yeah.
You can't be intimate with yourself if you're not honest with yourself and you hide things even from yourself.
Right.
Like that's just something to sit with. I
Yeah.
won't expand on it. I just had to pull that word, that sentence out because that is huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-reflection and who you are with yourself is the first step to anything.
It's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal.
It is.
And it quelches this idea of romance, right? As the only form of intimacy,
Right.
right? Oh, there weren't enough candles and music and all the things. Well, that's romance in some ways. And we're gonna get into at some point even the etymology on romance, because there's a lot to dig into with that too. But the truth is, intimacy is just about making what's deepest in you known and actually sharing it and sharing it. So here we are, folks. We are rolling in. So with that said, we're going to start our reading. We mentioned that, if you don't have your journal, think about grabbing it if it feels like that's, nudging you. If you're going to use your phone, to maybe jot down a couple things, whatever it's going to take in order for you to be able to just share, or, to keep somehow, a sense of the things that gave you an aha moment, because there will be many, y'all. And we want to hear about them because, like I said, you're going to see it one way, I'm going to see it another way, James is going to see it another way, right? It's like all of us being eyewitnesses to the same incident outside, and we all saw it from a very different angle.
Right.
So we're counting on you to make sure that we can get this as rounded out as possible. And so, yeah, with that, as we're reading, here are the things we want you to think about. So, in detail, we've broken it out, mind, body, and spirit, but just right on the surface, how does this text leave an imprint on my mind, body, and spirit? And that can be an and or an or, right? How is what I'm hearing or reading right now leaving an imprint on my mind, my body, or spirit? So in terms of the mind, it means what new ideas and perspectives or challenges does this reading awaken in my thinking? Right? Like maybe already before we've even read the book,
Right.
now you're thinking, oh, well, maybe I thought intimacy, I thought something a little different. Or I'm awakened, or I'm like, you know what? I always kind of had an inner knowing that it was more than that, right? Whatever that is. And then asking yourself, does it affirm or disrupt your current beliefs about relationships, community, or intimacy? The next would be for the body.
So body, what sensations, emotions, or physical responses arise as I sit with these words? Do I feel openness, resistance, grounding, or tension? And what might those signals be teaching me or showing up for me? So I always say that when things show up,
Yeah.
it's for a reason. Whenever we go into this type of work or these seasons, there's brothers that I speak to and they're like, it's getting crazy right now. This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And sometimes people they want to split, right? There's just too much going on in my life. And I always say like, no, no, no. This is why it's opening up for you.
Yes.
This is why the chaos is coming. It's because we said we are coming here to open the way and open up to whatever spirit is that needs to show us where we need to grow, what the messages we need to get. So don't run from it.
Come
So
on.
this is it. So do I feel openness, resistance, grounding, or tension? And what might those signals be teaching me or showing up for me?
Yeah.
So it's important.
So these are just some questions we want you to be thinking about as you're reading. And, you know, you can take a screenshot of this if you'd like to hold on to it while you're doing your independent reading. But even right now, when we get ready to start this reading now, these are the things you want to be thinking of. So now in terms of spirit, how does this reading connect me to something larger than myself? My ancestors, the community, the divine, or the sacred rhythms of nature? Where do I feel an invitation to deepen my practice of intimacy? Right? So this book is, look, y'all see this? Look at this. I don't know if you can see this. Is it washed out? We have tabs. These tabs are not even from now when we decided like we're going to do this. Is from when we read it the first time because it was that good that we needed to go back, you know, and actually wanted to make it easy to go back, you know. So that's why we did that. So I just want y'all to know this is going to be so good.
Yes.
And what I love about it, and if you get an opportunity to read the foreword, it is not a prescription. This book is not telling you how to live your life.
No.
It is not telling you how to navigate relationships the best way, what you should do, you shouldn't do. None of that. It's just telling a story and saying, here are the things that were done. Here are how they were done. The end. And then we get to interpret for ourselves why we were called into this space to go through it,
Right.
why we were attracted to it, and what we're individually getting from this,
Right.
and then collectively.
Right. Right.
So we're going to leave this up on the screen as we now move into the reading, right? So that way you can refer back to it to think about how things are hitting, for you. And James and I are going to kind of switch off and do a little bit of the reading. But if you would like to hop into the circle and also add to the energy of reading a page and picking up, please just put it into the chat. We're going to make sure we pull the chat up. Let's see. Just put it in the chat and say, hey, I'll take the next one. It's only about a 12-minute read, but put it in the chat or put your hand up and we'll switch off because it's always nice to hear a new voice.
Right. And just in the chat really quick, I know brother AJ, he has said, wow, that's hard to do. Sister Alicia has said, yes, intimacy with self. Right.
Yeah.
And then Sister Alicia said me with the emoji, right? And then brother AJ said, yeah, I'll be feeling like I'm in a twilight zone when it opens up.
Exactly. Like what just happened?
Yeah, like what, right? Like you're ready to get
set an intention.
Right.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
Here it comes.
It's not always going to be a soft lesson, right?
And really quick, before we start, so like Tanasia said, if you're feeling in spirit, to want to read, a page or paragraphs, whatever it is, please raise your hand. Let us know. If you do not have the book, but you in spirit want to read something, let us know in the chat because we can send you pages or. First of all, does anybody have the book right now?
Not yet. It's on its way. I ordered it.
Okay, Ashe.
Okay,
Ashe.
Ashe.
All right, so
and Brother Court put in the chat that he does.
Ashe. Okay.
Ashe.
So if anybody
Sister Alicia's en route. AJ, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay.
This is perfect. Letitia says I do.
Okay.
Wonderful. Crystal says
Good.
I do. Keisha says yes. Okay, great.
Okay. So again, if anybody, wants to read, absolutely please, in spirit, take a page. It's a small book, but again, the different, frequencies when people interact and read, it definitely adds to the collective. So
all right, we're gonna move through. Want me to start? Okay, I'll start. Okay, so we're in chapter 1, y'all. Dano, home to the old ways.
So really quick, as we start, for those that don't have the book, or even if you do have the book, I always like to tell people, here's where you tap into your visual skills.
Okay.
You know, as is being read and the person is narrating this story, play it in your head. You know, like really take it in, set your intentions of what you look
All
at.
right, y'all. I'm gonna try to give y'all like a real
like it's gonna bring us there. It's gonna bring us there, but go ahead.
There we go. All right. Dano, home to the old ways. The Dagara people are mainly associated with the West African coastal countries of Ghana, Ivory Coast, and Togo. Inland from these countries at their northern border is Burkina Faso, formerly referred to as Upper Volta. In 1984, the government of Upper Volta decided that its colonial name was too troublesome. So they chose a new name, which means the land of the proud ancestors. When in 1882, a European council sitting in Belgium tried to figure out how to share this big land of Africa, they ended up dividing the Dagara tribe into 3 different nations. There are a few 100,000 Dagara people in Burkina Faso, another few 100,000 in Ghana, and a small number in the Ivory Coast. This division of people occurred as a result of the arbitrary nature of colonial powers who didn't accept tribal communities as nations. Socially or communally, we are not that different from indigenous communities elsewhere. Maybe what should be mentioned is that we don't have the amenities that one has here in the West, such as electricity or running water. We don't live in houses without cockroaches. We're very close to the earth and to nature, and that is the gift that we receive from such a place. In the village, where life is directly inspired by the earth, by the trees, by the hills and rivers, the kind of relationship that exists between man and nature is directly translated in subtle ways into the building of the community and into the building of the relationships that exist between the people. When asked where they are from, the Dagara people who live in Burkina Faso usually say the village of Dano. This is because even though there are many villages in the tribe, Dano is the biggest. But it's nothing like a town by modern standards. It's just a village surrounded by other villages. It's difficult to know how many people live here since in Africa, we don't count people. People know one another from village to village, having family and friends in many of these small communities. This comes about through marriage and immigration and through active neighborhood relationships. In Dano, the streets have no names. There is one main street which comes off the road that connects Dano to the main highway and Aguadagu, the capital city. It's probably around 300 kilometers to Aguadagu. If you have your own car, you could probably make the drive in 3.5 hours. The road out to the main highway is not paved and has lots of big holes and animals and people crossing, so it can take you a long time. Buses travel this road. They stop every 10 miles or so to check in with somebody or to drop somebody off, so it's not steady travel. The thing is, no one seems to be in a hurry. So by bus, it can take you a minimum of 6 hours to a whole day to reach the capital. That is, if you don't have any kind of mechanical breakdown.
Now, we're going to continue, but just think about that, right? There was a lot said just then. But one key thing right now is even in the travel, no one seems to be in a hurry.
Right. It's understood.
It's understood. Whether this took, and they say it could be a minimum of 6 hours. Could you imagine in this fast-paced world right now if you had to go like 6 hours and you thought, oh, no problem, just
It's like it normally takes 3 and today it's 6.
Right.
Yeah, we would have a
it's yeah.
right.
I'm trying to tap into that, you know, that patience. So again, the land is what you would call a savanna, mostly hilly grasslands with few trees taller than 30 feet. The tallest tree is a baobab. Right? Is that right? Baobab? Okay, we'll go with that. Which grows really high, about 180 feet. Although it's no longer forest-like, in certain places we do have dense groves of trees such as shea, which is known for its healing power. The shea tree gives this green, delicious fruit. We eat the fruit and use the nut to make butter. The butter is used by the Dagara people for medicinal purposes, for cooking and for cosmetics. After you lived, yeah, shea butter, right? After you lived, as I have, in places like Michigan or even Northern California, the weather in Dano no longer seems so cold. But I remember when I lived there, it used to be really, really cold. I used to think when it dropped into the 70s, it was cold. Now that I lived in a climate where the temperature might drop to 30 degrees or even lower, 70 seems pretty hot. Even though Burkina Faso has 3 relatively large rivers in the area of Dano, there are only seasonal creeks and ponds. These are our sources of drinking water, and we dig wells during the dry season, which starts in November and lasts until mid-June, sometimes July. Then we have to rely on wells for water to drink. In the driest seasons, you will find the whole village gathered around one well of water, sometimes spending the whole night waiting for that well to fill up. This is because at these times of the year, the water comes at certain hours only. Very early in the morning, for example, the water table will be high. Then at noon, it will be at the lowest point. We will have to go at night. We will have to go at night in order to be there when the water returns. Families with children are served first, together with pregnant women and the elderly. Then everybody else is served last. So even if you have been waiting during the night, if a family comes with children and they arrive, they will be served before you.
Who gets the big piece of chicken, right?
Mm.
Or who gets served first, right? That comes up a lot. Who gets served first? Do you serve your significant other or do you serve your children first, right? That's been like an age-old discussion.
That's wow. That is
Interesting.
interesting.
Okay.
Anybody else does anybody feel in spirit to wanna
If anyone would like to
read?
read, just go ahead and put your hand up. We'll switch off. Okay. You would call our economy agricultural, perhaps subsistent farming. We produce the food we need to live. We have not done any exporting, even though in recent years, the government has been trying to get us to do so. That to us is a foreign concept that we have not yet learned to deal with because we grow exactly what we need and no more. Our main way of trading is to barter. Although in the village, we also use cowrie shells for money, as well as for divination and healing. These little white shells were brought by the Dagara people from Ghana a long time ago when the tribe used to live closer to the sea. Cowrie shells are used sort of like gold has been here in the West. All the French-speaking countries in West Africa, Burkina Faso, the Ivory Coast, Senegal, and so forth, also use a regular kind of money called CFA. To get that money, of course, you have to sell things. And if you don't have something to sell, then you basically live without it. You have to stay with the old ways of bartering. The two systems of trade exist side by side. We grow many things. For example, there are different kinds of millet. One of them is called sorghum in the West. We have red and white sorghum. And we have another kind of millet, which is called zvi in Dagara. We have red beans, black-eyed peas, peanuts, and we have big African yams. Not the regular yams like you have here, but yams up to 3 feet long, weighing 20, 30 pounds. And when we have sweet potatoes, 2 different kinds. We raise animals also, chickens, guinea hens, pigs, goats, and lambs. They are raised not only for food, but also for trade. For example, if I have a goat and I need millet, we might negotiate a fair amount of grain for me to receive in the return of my goat. Did you want to take this page?
Yeah, I'm gonna
For the
take
next?
it.
It's gonna send you the picture, Brother Rowley. We hunt wild animals, but now we mainly see hunting in a context of ritual, such as initiation. It's not like in the old days when the whole tribe would take 1 or 2 months and go hunting, and then come back home with meat to live on for the year. This has changed only in the past 10 years or so because of political restrictions. Basically, the government is trying to claim the land. Until the 1980s, the land had always been the land of the people.
Mm,
Still, people did not consider it their own.
mm, mm.
They saw it as spirit, as something that they were just borrowing. Now that the government is regulating the land, you have to pay taxes on it.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow.
Over to you, Brother Ruling.
Wow. Just
Yeah, a lot in that.
That's so much in there. That's so much in there. But we'll touch on it in the end. And Bruli, let me know, Brother Ruli, if you got the page and if it's
Yeah,
clear.
I did. I did get it. This is going to be a little bit of background noise because I'm in a car, but I'm gonna roll the window up.
Okay.
Okay.
But Billy, I'm gonna roll the window up real quick because I'm in the Zoom.
And we thank you for being in spirit, Brother Ruli.
Shame.
I'm probably gonna turn it down. All right. What was this? Page 3 or page?
It's page 7, and it starts with during colonial times.
Page 7. During colonial times. Okay, I see it. I see it. During colonial times, I got the earphones on, so before I start running my mouth, please let me know if y'all can hear me. The brothers
We can hear
already
you.
We
know
can
I
hear
got
you.
an
Yes.
Android, so
We hear
Aspe,
you.
we
probably
hear
going.
you.
During colonial times, many things changed in the Dagara people's lives, but matters such as family structure and the way people approach leadership remain much the same. Those who have gone to school in cities are absolutely affected. They see things completely differently. But most of the villages I know of still have the ways they used to with an almost medieval way of leadership. There isn't one chief who is in charge of everything, who gives direction that everybody has to follow. We still have a system where elders oversee the village without a sense of acquiring wealth and power. Very important.
Mm-hmm.
Power, you see, is understood in the village as very dangerous if not used correctly. So everybody is very cautious about using any kind of power over others. Yeah, I hate to be doing my interpolation, but you know what? That those last couple of sentences reminded me of that um, movie, if you want to call it that. The Gods Must Be Crazy. If anybody ever seen that, John, The Gods Must Be
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Check that, John, out. It's a I want to call it a movie, but it's about an African tribe who was completely isolated from the rest of the world, right? And one thing changed their village, and it was a piece of trash that one of the white people had thrown from an airplane, and it was a bottle. A simple bottle changed the attitude of. They never understood anger. They never beat their children, right? But a bottle changed the dynamic of the entire village.
Imagine
Why?
that.
Because some people use the bottle to grind the seeds, and it was only one bottle. They don't have these type of utensils there, right? And some people use the bottle to grind seeds. Some people use the bottle to hammer things down. Some people use the bottle to blow the children, to blow to make the music. But it was only one bottle, and it started to create anger. And it was the
Mm-hmm.
anger and the fighting that happened was so strange to them that they didn't know. They didn't even know to break things up because it never happened before. Gods
Wow.
must be crazy.
Wow.
Check that out.
So, there was a lot was said, a lot of things that you guys read and something stood out to me from the very beginning. Intimacy is not just between two people. If y'all understand what this author is doing, the intimacy started with the community. If y'all listening, the
Mm.
intimacy is actually being spoken of right now,
Mm.
and it's the community. The intimacy is at the well. The intimacy is
Mm.
the true democracy that they're talking about here, where the people in power, the elders do not do the ruling in hopes for the benefit of power because they understand the danger of it. If y'all listen, the intimacy is not
Okay.
just about you yourself, it's not about you and other people. The intimacy is
Women.
the aura of family, the aura of community. In the medieval mindset that they're saying that the people who don't go to the city to learn have, that is the uh inheritance of the knowledge of the ancestors that those people have, that is the beginning of the intimacy.
Ashe.
If you listen. But yeah, I ain't gonna talk too much.
Ashe.
Ashe. Okay. Tribal people are starting to experience immense cultural pressures because of the exodus of rural youth to the cities and their exposure to mass media. Slowly but surely, we are seeing with pain a gradual reduction of the village population and the import of all these new ideas pertaining to romance and privacy. Oh, we have somebody's hand up. Is that you, Dre?
No, not me, Sha.
Okay.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I just said that I was going to read the next page, so I just
Okay.
put my hand up just in.
Okay. You can go on, child.
Oh, you stopped at romance and privacy?
Yes.
Okay. This is what happens when young people go to the city and then come back. In Africa, at least, so it was very quiet in here when I decided I wanted to read, and then
It's all good, child. Don't worry about it.
Okay. In Africa, at least in the Dagara villages, buildings are mainly there for sleeping, for ritual space, and for storing food. But the actual life of the village is outside. You wouldn't have any particular place where you would go and change a diaper, for instance. It would happen right outside. You would bathe at the river and dress and groom yourself outside. You would go to the bathroom outside and use leaves from the nearby tree. Talk about cultural conflict for those who despise the old ways. That really sounds like the Garden of Eden. That's what what's popping into my mind, right?
And Sha, really quick, just to let you know, can you read up until page 9 where it ends with the elders for justice?
Brother Cord.
And then Brother Cord's gonna take over from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
In tribal life, one is forced to slow down, to experience the now and commune with the earth and nature. Patience is a must. No one seems to understand the meaning of hurry up. In the village, we have what we refer to as elders. They are the ones who make the decisions of the village. When there is some pressing situation, the elders will get together and try to figure out what should be done. We do not have police or anything like that. We rely mainly on spirit and on the elders for justice.
Ashe, imagine that. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine
y'all writing down what y'all trying to, what we're gonna be discussing? A lot going on.
Oh, Lord, that's
Give thanks for that, Sha.
yes. Thank you, Sha.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Among the elders, there's a council of 10 that takes care of the rituals and other village concerns. There's a sort of committee within a larger group of elders. What you have to understand is that elders are not attracted to being part of this council, but it involves a lot of work. You work for the whole community, and you are not like a person in power who decides everything. People can come any time of the day to get you for help. You can be sleeping. Somebody will knock on your door, and then you have to work. You don't have a choice. The council is selected by all of those who have gone through the elder initiation. They are selected according to the Dagara understanding of the elemental force that form the universe. We have 5 different elements: earth, water, mineral, fire, and nature. Each one of these elements is represented on the council by a woman and a man. The council is thus made up of 5 female and 5 male elders. The element earth is responsible for our groundedness, our sense of identity, and our ability to nurture and to support one another. Water is peace, focus, wisdom, and reconciliation. And I would say the part that talks about the council and the notable balance amongst the council between man and woman, it shows a respect for the wisdom
Come
And no
on.
matter what vessel that
Mhm.
wisdom comes from,
Mhm.
we honor it in balance.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you, Brother Cord.
Ashe.
And then we have
Brother
Truth and
Sister
Sister
Constance.
Constance. They will read next. Ashe. Thank y'all. Wow, this is woo.
Mhm.
I'm feeling it already.
The element earth is responsible for our groundedness, our sense of identity, and our ability to nurture and to support one another. Water is peace, focus, wisdom, and reconciliation. Mineral helps us to remember our purpose and gives us the means to communicate and to make sense out of what others are saying. Fire is about dreaming, keeping our connection to the self and to the ancestors, and keeping our visions alive. Nature helps us to be our true self, to go through major changes and life-threatening situations. It brings magic and laughter.
When a member of the Council of Elders dies and they need, for example, a new water female, all the initiated elders gather to select a new water female for the council. Actually, you have to lobby a lot in order to find another elder because this is not a 9 to 5 job where you can let yourself be content with things. And because of the delicate nature of the job, the family in Africa is always extended. You would never refer to your cousin as cousin because that would be an insult. So your cousins are your sisters and brothers. Your nieces are your children, and your uncles are your fathers. Your aunts are your mothers. Your sisters' husbands are your husbands, and your brothers' wives are your wives. Children are also encouraged to call other people outside the family mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers. Shay.
Ashe.
Ashe. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, y'all. All right, this is the last little piece of it. And then we're closing this chapter, and then we're going to open the circle up to discussion. Mhm. In the village, extended families live in the same compound. The women sleep on one side of the house, the men on the other side. The children are allowed to sleep wherever they feel like. They are not restricted until they reach adolescence. They can sleep with the women today, move to the men's quarters tomorrow, or sleep with their grandfather or grandmother, and so on.
This concept of the big family is really helpful. I remember when I was a kid, I had the choice of a different father every day, depending on my mood. So if I wanted one of my uncles to be my father for the day, I would focus all my attention on that person and ignore the others. And the others wouldn't take it personally because they saw it as an opportunity for me to decide what I wanted. This also allows a large number of people in the village to acknowledge the child and see her or his spirit.
Ashe, Ashe. Okay, family. All right. That was, look, I'm just gonna stop sharing for a moment so that we can actually see each other here in the circle. That was just the first chapter, y'all. That was the first chapter. So with our prompt being around what you experienced and what the downloads were for you, mind, body, and spirit, we'll open it up to passing the light. So who would like to start? You like to start first, Ben?
Sure.
Okay. What came up for you? And was it mind? Was it body? Was it spirit? Tell us.
So I'll just like to say I say spirit because my spirit really connected with the ways of how we lived in community. And that's something that's very important to me. And just taking myself back in spirit to understanding how the elders were respected and honored and how they didn't need police, or if there was a decision that needed to happen, you look towards the elders for wisdom, masculine and feminine, to come together and figure out whatever the best decision is.
That means it was trust
Exactly.
in the elders.
Right.
Mhm.
And even talking about community where you look at, your uncle as a father, your cousin is your brother or your sister. Again, back to community and how you looked at each other as true family. There's not these titles that almost feel you separate from your immediate family, right? It made me again, embody and want, this community. And I'm like, thank you for showing me what I always thought it looked like and felt like. So that's what my spirit felt.
I'll share. Who would you like to pass it to?
To you.
You can pass it to me.
I'll pass it to you.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
So I would say what stood out to me, so one of the things when I traveled to Ghana recently, right? I was just kind of researching. It was my first time ever going. So I was researching to kind of set somewhat an expectation for me, just so that I could know how to respect the land, right? Because I think that it's so important that when you're traveling from your country to another country, that you learn something about where you're going so that you can be respectful to that space and the people on it. And one of the things I learned about was the sense of time. And so this book, right, like reinforced that notion. So one of the things was like, listen, if you got somewhere to go and all of this, you're gonna need to have your own vehicle and be willing to figure it out yourself, because CP time is a real thing, right? So often here in the West, CP time, right, had been looked at as something that's almost like a negative, right? Like, oh my goodness, it's going to start on CP time, right? It means it's always going to be quote unquote late, but there's no such thing as late in Ghana. There's no such thing. And so when you now know that your people in their DNA had this sense of we move how we move with the rhythm of divine timing and nature's time, then it's no question anymore why sometimes the perceived struggles are around time.
Right.
It's not really, it is a struggle. It's a struggle to be something that we are not, right? So sometimes in our DNA, there's already this wanting to go in flow, and we're trying to resist that wanting so that we can be according to the rigid structure, right? Because that's how we deem success, and so it's just, that was really interesting to me. So that was the first thing. That was in the mind, right? When I think about the body, when it got to the part of talking about, where the children could sleep, I felt my trauma come up. Right? Because reading that felt uncomfortable to me, right? I couldn't read that with a sense of true innocence, just being transparent, right? So my own personal trauma as a child made reading that was the structure in the village uncomfortable for me.
Right.
So I had to acknowledge and sit with that I felt it. Like I literally felt that in my body. I read it and I was just like, oh, like it kind of feels like, like, like I don't like that part. You know what I'm saying? Now, this book is not intended, right? None of the books are intended to be a rigid, this is the way we do it.
Right.
So it's for each of us to figure out what feels like spiritually aligned for each of us, right? Or divinely aligned for each of us. But that I had to recognize, and then I had to question that feeling and say, where did that come from? And I'm like, oh, because my experiences are traveling with me as well as me experiencing the book. And so that's what I felt. And I think spirit, so that was mind and body. Spirit wise, I like that it touched on this idea of privacy. I grew up in a household where my grandparents primarily raised me. They were the elders. People came to them all the time with their counsel. Or we didn't call it that, right? They would come there and say, this is what I got going on, and I'm arguing with this person, and we're in disagreeing. And the conflict came to them for support. And so what I realized was that I had witnessed, some of the village happening in my own family in that way. And I immediately recognized that there was no privacy when it came to that. These people cut down the barriers of privacy when they came to the kitchen with my grandparents to say, we're going to put our baggage on the table so that you can help us. And so I recognize for myself, that's perhaps why I've never really felt like things need to be so private. I felt like we could share, we could tell people what we're going through so other people can say, and we can have community. And I realized, you know, from reading this, like that's where I saw it. So that was the spirit part of it. Like spirit said, see, you saw that part. So I'm gonna pass the light. And since Keisha has her hand up, Keisha, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Thank you for that. I think a lot of what you said resonated with me, especially that idea about time and going through Sacred Woman and some of that, and me learning to be in flow with time and not try to control time and pressure it. But I have a personal experience that I want to share, and I've been looking for messages. And the challenge that I've been faced with this past couple of days is that we had a fire in our home. And no one was hurt. We can't stay there. There's a lot of, not a lot, actually not a lot of damage considering, but it's not somewhere where we can stay. But I'm so grateful, and people are like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, am I supposed to not feel okay? Because I'm feeling okay, and I'm feeling like this happened for a reason, and there's a message, and I just want to be clear on what the message is. And there are so many things that have transpired in a good way, like before this, and things that are leading me that there's something that's being spoken to me. And then I read the passage in the book, and they're saying fire is about dreaming, keeping our connection to the self and to the ancestors, and keeping our visions alive. And I know one of the things that my daughter said, and she was like, Granny was watching over you, because, you know, if my son didn't get up to go to the bathroom, we wouldn't have known the fire was happening. It was downstairs in the kitchen. We were all upstairs in the bedrooms with the doors closed. And I had said to myself when I moved into this home 2 years ago that I was only going to stay here 2 years. And September 1st made 2 years. So I'm like, so what is the message? What's happening now? So just the connection to the ancestors about dreaming, about the vision, because I did want to make some moves, but again, getting comfortable. You know, we get comfortable, we forget. And there have been things that have been aligning with me to move, but I wasn't answering that call because of that comfort. So the fire came, and I think it was there to send a message. And then I read this in the book, and just sort of, you know, reiterated that.
That's right.
Wow, sis, like that was such a powerful share.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing that with us. You know, I'm so grateful that you and your family made it out of that situation safely.
Yes.
I feel so lucky. I feel so blessed. Everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, I feel so good that like we were able to come out unhurt, and most of our things are intact. They smell terrible. They may have a little soot on them, but it was only in that like one spot. The reason why we can't go back is because the smoke and the soot is like so bad in the house, but the actual fire didn't damage much of anything except for the stove.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is
wow.
amazing. It's miraculous to me.
Yes. Yes.
It is absolutely miraculous. And what is also miraculous is the fact that you are immediately, like you said, right, in this space of, I'm already just looking for the lesson, how to stitch it all together to make it make sense, right? Because you know that there's alignment in all of it, like that inner
Yes.
knowing. There's so much power in that, sis. So I give thanks for that for you. Yeah.
That's right.
Ashe.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, like I felt that in my chest there. It's like, wow, that was a lot. All right, giving thanks. I think we saw
Dre shot.
Dre and Shaw's hand up come next. Were you guys looking for the light to be passed?
Yes, so you know, I just wanted to share my sentiments with Sister Keisha because we've gone through similar, right? And so we fully understand going through the fire and it not really damaging so much, but you still you still having to relocate. So that definitely resonated with me, and I am wishing you well on the next step in your journey, because in the moment when that happened for us, it was a few years ago now. I wasn't thinking about what the sign was for me specifically, right? I thought maybe it was a lesson for someone else possibly. And as days went on and the years went by, I realized that there were things that continued to come up because I didn't see the lesson in it for myself. So I had also said that I was only going to be in a certain space for a certain amount of time. And it didn't happen that way. And I'm in the process now of changing that as well. But I didn't think about it that way. So to hear you vocalize it, that definitely brought that forward for me. Again, because I did start to see it within the last year or so, but I realized that back then I wasn't connecting to it in that way. So the book, The Spirit of Intimacy, for me, the first chapter feels so familiar. Like there's this, so when they speak about the community and the elders, growing up in the same family that you did, we always had to go sit with our elders. We had to sit with our grandparents. They even called us to come sit with them if there was something going on because somebody had already told them our business, because again, there was no privacy. So whether we were sharing it or someone else was, we were always set to come and sit in front of the elders and speak through it. Right. And they helped us even when we didn't think we needed it, because we thought we had the answers. So that felt very familiar. And I realized that in these times now, those elders are now gone, right? And the next generation, or the generation after them that I've seen, it's not as comfortable to go and speak with them, right? So it feels like you're always looking for answers and searching, because there's no one that you can really sit with in that generation. So luckily I have that in between, right? So, but those ones have made it, that generation to me has made it very difficult to openly share without feeling judged, even though they may not actually be thinking that this is what they're doing. But it doesn't feel so comforting. But I remember being able to do that, right? When it comes to the way the government makes you pay taxes on the land, they try to own the land. That really resonated with me, because I'm like, honestly, we have to pay for everything down to the water. These things are supposed to be natural to us. These are supposed to be free to us, right? We can't go and get an apple without having to pay for it. We have to pay. And even if we want to grow it ourselves, we have to pay for the seeds. There's nothing that is free to us in this space of life at all at this point. Can't get a bottle of water, can't go to, and if they catch you down at the ocean or the river trying to gather some, you're going to jail, right? Like there's nothing that you can have, and it's so heartbreaking, especially when you want to maybe step out on your own and you realize just how expensive things are, or you have to pick up and relocate your whole entire family and go into a new community of people and elders that you don't know at all. It's already scary enough in what is familiar to you, let alone in another space. So I felt familiarity, I felt anger just in this first chapter. Like there's so much in these first few pages. It's like, and then also because we haven't been able to just step out on our own at this point, I've raised my children in a home with my mom for some time. I've raised my children in the home with Dre and his parents and his siblings. And I know that Addison and Alani get to experience the spirit of intimacy, right? Because they get to go off and, oh, I'm with Uncle K today. I'm with Aunt Monty today. I'm gonna, Mom, can I go and sleep in the room with Mama and Papa? And I'm like, some days I'm like, no, that's enough. Go, like, go get in your bed, right? But they get to actually feel that, and they have, and I know that they have different relationships with each one of with each one of us, so they're able to express themselves differently in each of those containers, so much so that sometimes I have to remind them, like, I'm not that one, right? You have to speak to me this way. You could go back over there and speak that way over there. But I'm happy that they get to express the totality of who they are amongst everyone. So that is also, it lights me up because, okay, I can see where I want to move on, but I also see why some things have been hindered because they need to experience certain things as well. And I need to see that for them, and I need to see the benefits that it's giving. So with that, I am complete. Dre, would you like to share?
And just to one of the things that you mentioned, Sha, it's interesting because you spoke about some of the challenges and the generation that were between, the grandparents and our generation, right? And it's interesting that they expressed that there was an initiation for the elders. So not everyone was elder council. So it also then calls us forward to say, well, who are the ones, right? Because again, it's not everybody, right? So I love that you pulled that forward. Give thanks. Did Dre want to share?
No, she took all my words.
All right, then you guys get to pass the light.
Pass the light.
I could do that much. Excuse me. I would like to pass the light to Brother AJ.
Brother AJ.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ashe.
Okay. I'm sorry. I actually just got back on. My phone had died in the middle of it.
Okay.
But I definitely made it my business to get back on.
Ashe. So the question that we're asking is simply, in terms of that first chapter that we read now, right?
Did you get to hear any of it or?
I did. I got to hear.
What came forward for you, mind, body, or spirit, right? Or all the things. Like what came forward for you? What kind of stood out, and maybe gave you a download?
Definitely I know maybe this wasn't part of the chapter, but what definitely stood out was the breakdown of the word intimacy. I've never caught that before. I'm pretty sure, I discussed it, in the past. But it definitely, shines some light on the foundation of it. Especially, I'll speak for myself as a man. Intimacy for me was like the Webster Dictionary shows us right now. Like it's like, you think about it, it's romance, it's sexual. I never even never even caught drift of applying it to self. Right. And so that definitely stood out to me as far as, and to think about, like, if I've never been intimate with myself, have I truly ever been intimate with anybody I've been with?
Oh, come on.
Right. If I haven't been able to be upfront, like you said, dig deep and reveal what's inside to yourself, then there's been a lot of cheating, not cheating as far as the other side, but a lot of cheating in all of my relationships outside of my spouse, my parents, my siblings. It all starts with yourself. So that kind of really, really stood out to me.
Thank you for that, brother.
Wow. Yeah, Brother AJ, who would you like to pass the light to? That was a beautiful share.
Yes.
I'm not sure all who went, right? I just jumped back on, but I'm just gonna go with spirit.
Dre and we heard from Sister Keisha.
Everybody else is still open.
Okay, so let me throw some feminine energy in, and I will go with Sister Keisha.
Sister Keisha shared.
Oh, she did? You did? I'm not paying attention. Right under her, Sister Megan.
Sister Megan.
Ashe.
Ashe. Sister Megan, are you able to unmute right now? I don't know if she's able to unmute. All right. She might. There she is. She's like, can I unmute? First of all, I can go on video.
Right. Unmute and unreveal. Thank you, sis.
Good to see you, sis.
Thank you. It's good to see everybody. My apologies for being late, but
Divinely times it.
On time.
I caught the conversation, the about time, and it that resonated with me, and so I appreciate that. See, some of the things that stood out from the first chapter for me was the comment about hunting and it becoming more of a ritual. It used to be something that was done and they would go off for a month or so at a time and go hunt, but now it was like an initiation. And it stood out for two reasons. One, because my grandmother's maiden name was Hunter, and my grandmother kind of initiated me into fishing. So we would go fishing, and that was kind of my initiation into
Oh my goodness.
the cleaning of it, the cooking of it. It was no room to be scared of the worm. I had to put the worm on my own hook. I had to learn how to cast. I had to learn how to reel the fish in so not to lose it, how to de-hook it, all the things, how to fix the line, and the different weights you use depending on what type of fishing you are doing. We fished on rocks, piers, all the things, and it really was an initiation, but it was also our ritual to be done in times of celebration, because we were gonna cook fish, and that was truly, looking back on it, like there was so much love in that, just as much as there was education in it, and so that stood out a lot. And
So amazing.
yeah, I think also just that passing down, the passing down of that, because it wasn't just my grandmother, like my uncle was also involved and things like that, and we would do it with cousins and everything, but every little kid had that opportunity. Like once they got to a certain age, they were going fishing.
Wow.
I appreciate it so much, and I miss it because we haven't been, as a family, especially after my grandmother passed. Like my uncle and I haven't gone. My mother and my father and I have gone, but it's one thing that now I really want to make a point to bring back. After, we had a celebration of life for a cousin that I hadn't met recently, and although I hadn't met him, I got to experience him through the rest of the family, which is my grandmother's side of the family. So they are Hunters, last name Hunter, and beyond. And we are getting closer now. And I think back to the part about the description of the different elements. So water and fire and mineral and all the things, and meeting my aunts. No, they're not even aunts. I think of them as aunties because they're older than me, but they're technically my cousins.
Right. And we all do that, right? Like, yes.
Like I feel weird to even call them on a first name basis, so I call them cousin Delrisa, cousin Jackie, so forth and so on. But anyway, I met them and realized that they are all deep into gardening. And so they have herb gardens, flower gardens. They grow a lot of their own fruits and vegetables. They have chickens and things like that. But this is a part of my family element that I was kind of like dabbling into And I love what Sha said about you have to buy seeds, and that irritates my spirit.
Right,
So,
right.
but realizing that like my grandmother and my mom and me and my dad were probably the water side because we're the fish. Another branch of that tree, they're still last name Hunter, but they he started his own dojo. It was my great uncle passed down to his son. So my great cousin, or whatever you want to, my relative, my my brother in the case of this book.
Yeah.
And so the dream was continued and is alive. So there's fire there. So it's just it's really beautiful. It's really drawing the connection to my own life, as opposed to just reading it because it's the second time I'm going through the book. But drawing the connection to my own life as opposed to just reading it for the education or the perspective,
That's right.
feels a lot different and it feels more intimate to do.
Come on, sis. Yes. Oh my goodness. Like I'm sitting here and I'm getting, my nose is starting to get red listening to Megan because this is so similar to even my family. So I recently had an aunt pass away who I didn't have a direct relationship with, and went to the celebration of life, reconnected with family on my father's side. James actually exchanged information with them. And guess what now we're involved in? Fishing.
Oh
So
my
we just last weekend, guess what they had? They went out on a boat, they did all the fishing, they brought the fish back, they did the cleaning, we went to a fish fry, right? They live 20 minutes from us. I didn't even know I had family on my father's side in the state, let alone 20 minutes from us and on Long Island, sis. So I'm feeling so much synergy with what you just said. I'm like, wow.
Right.
But I have to say, there's a part that when you said your grandmother, okay, was the one that it was like,
I know, right?
This is
Teaching you, that's
this
amazing.
is a
That's
whole,
amazing.
okay.
And like Brother AJ said in there, that's dope. And he said
That's
fire.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like that is so incredible.
Yeah.
And that she handed it down to you and
Right.
you were speaking through it in such detail.
Yeah.
Like it's like we were learning how to fish through you. You know what I mean? So I love
when
that.
she was saying that, and she was in such detail about, if you're on the rocks or this or the different hooks and different, I was like, okay, so next Uprising, we know what
fishing with
we know what we're
Megan.
doing. So Brother AJ, get your reels ready, get your rod ready, Brother AJ.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm definitely down.
Right. Brother True, bring yours up when you come up.
We going out. We going out.
The Uprising will have fishing next year.
Listen. And now, right here on Long Island, we met family with boats. Right? So who actually love to go out and do this. So yes, we're gonna.
I'm certain we will have fishing next year. We will be fishing together.
Like Megan is like, oh my goodness, look at this.
I'm so happy. I say, like, y'all just don't know. That warms my heart in so many ways.
So amazing.
Oh my God. Beautiful. But
I love that your grandmother was so intentional about that with you. Like that's so beautiful. She handed that down to you. Yeah.
That's it.
Who would you like to pass the light to, sis?
Okay.
Sister Felisa said, I haven't touched a worm in about 50 years.
But
she's open to it.
I'm telling you, listen, y'all can write it down right now.
We're gonna make it
in
happen.
the Uprising next year.
Yes.
We're going fishing.
We're going fishing
as community together, because I think that experience together will be so beautiful to do the together. So
oh my God,
hold on. I just think there's a problem real quick.
What's that?
We're gonna have there's a schedule conflict, okay? Between Megan's meditation.
Oh, because we're not giving that right.
We gotta figure that out. Which one comes first? We gotta figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
That's a fact. Appreciate AJ pulling that out.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
We'll get it struck, because maybe next year, maybe it's not gonna be one day. Maybe we're gonna do the weekend. So we'll get it together. But
I like that.
Right.
So, thank you for sharing that. That was beautiful.
Giving thanks, giving thanks. So I will pass the mic. I'm going to pass it to Queen Felisa. So I will. I got
outside enjoying life.
but on the second part, I'm leaving to you. You got this.
Okay, Sister Megan. Peace and greetings, everyone. Can y'all see me? Can y'all see me? Can you hear me?
No.
We could hear you, but
we can see that it went to the black screen.
Oh, it did. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that's okay.
There you were. It was the picture that came up.
Okay. Yes, good evening, everybody. I'm still in Costa Rica. But I just did not want to miss another opening meeting.
Thank you.
They didn't want me to. I graduated this evening from a
oh my goodness.
From a plant-based herbal indigenous course study.
Congratulations.
Come on.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. You know what came up for me as you guys were reading, and I did miss a little bit of it, but I caught most of it, was pride. Because I'm thinking, if we had it before, right? We had that. And it was ripped from us. And so in comes the destruction of the family unit and the traditions that we had. And so, I really value, I was so young when my mom died, but I've always valued family and, different roles. And I was impressed with the description of how the elders were regarded and the safety of the children in different situations. And Sister T, I can identify with, the safety element based on my own experiences as well. But, it also made me think, how do we get it back?
Yes.
We're doing it.
Yes, exactly. So the answer that came to me was that it starts with me. Because I'm a change, I'm a change agent. I am a person, one of the chosen ones to break some of the generational curses. I mean, because the destruction of the family and all of the traditions, some of the traditions, I want to bring those back. And it does start with me. I can't sit around and complain about how this used to happen, that used to happen. But I can do little things. I have my grandbaby's a year old now. I mean, and I take her to the garden with me already. And even my spouse, we've been through so much together and been married for so long. And there's been so much, so much trauma. But we are on the other side of it, I believe. And so I can, I've accepted responsibility for my role in some of that trauma, the things I allowed, the things I didn't know, I was just ignorant of. I was fighting with the wrong weapon and all of that. But leaning into my softer side now that I'm retired, and I can speak more softly into my spouse and letting him know and affirming how valuable he is and how, the family needs him in his role as the head of our household. And so, and so doing that without compromising myself, because I'm always working on the relationship with myself, the intimacy with myself, and overcoming a lot of the, childhood traumas and the adult traumas as well. So, but it just gives me so much hope, or gave me so much hope to hear, what the family unit, what the community was about, the village. I've always believed in the village, and that and being excited that I will have a role in resurging some of those traditions. And so I'm excited. I will share this. One of my dreams is to have a podcast where I will just interview the elders in my family. You know, and I just had my oldest brother just transition July 20th. And it was a huge blow. He was number 6. So I had 9 brothers, and so he was number 6. But that wisdom that he had, you know, he was always trying to share it in his own way. The wisdom that he had, I was privy to some of it, you know, but I don't want anybody else to transition without, you know, picking their brains and leaving something for our future generations, because I had 13 brothers and sisters. I have like a gazillion nieces and nephews. And one of them spoke into my spirit in my retirement celebration. She said, "Auntie, you need to write a book. You need to record some of this stuff." And I'm saying, well, I just wanted you to see, you know, different sides of your auntie. And, you know, and she said, "I sure do. And I know I have work to do." And so that coming from one of my nieces was so important to me. It spoke volumes to me. So, you know, it's a great thing, and it's a really good opportunity for me as an individual to check myself and make sure that I am contributing to the resurgence of the family and the family unit and the community and the village. So with that, I am complete.
Ashe.
Sis not only said, yes, this is something that has awakened in my spirit, but I have a full baked plan on how I'm going to activate with this. Right?
Wow.
That's amazing. So, and
Yeah.
congratulations to you again.
Thank you.
Coming in the family, y'all.
Right.
Ashe. And Brother AJ, see your hand up.
Yeah, I just had I had a question for Sister Felicia. What a beautiful share she had, but something in the beginning just it pulled at me. And you stated, and just to answer my question, you said once you retired, you was able to speak softer, and maybe you say maybe softer to your husband. And so I wanted to ask you, is that because of the retirement, the stress from the job was now gone? Because we speak about how how we originally formed, there was no job. We worked within the community, we worked within the village, and those relationships and those marriages, they lasted because there was none of the outside world influence. So that just, when you said that, that's what I felt, and I just wanted to see if that was maybe something that correlated with you in regards to why you was able to be softer overall, but more specifically with your husband at that point of retirement.
Thank you for that question. For me, I had been working on changing me for a long time. And when I say I was fighting with the wrong weapon, I mean, if he jumped fly, I jumped fly, because I grew up with 8 brothers and ended up with 9, and I wasn't afraid of a whole lot. My husband is 6'4.5", 400 pounds, and I ain't scared, you know. So, but it's not about being scared. It's about respect, and it's about I was all about survival, and you know, I had to let go of a lot of things. And I think when I retired, so I said that to say, brother, that it wasn't just tied to my retirement, but my retirement was such a turning point of me letting go, you know, of me letting go of that survival thing and trusting him to take care of things when, you know, there were periods of time during our 29-year marriage that he was not working. And I'm proud of myself that I never threw it up in his face. I mean, I just did what I did and, you know, helped keep the family together. So I think it was really about me finally, you know, like letting go and understanding that my job is not to change him, which I tried to do for years, erroneously so. I understand the error of my ways, but my job is just to love and let him take care of everything else. And, you know, and let him, you know, not try to read his mind or whatever, but let him, you know, tell me what he needs from me, and then also to be responsive, and then, and checking my approach and my response, making sure that it's wrapped in love and respect, not resentment, not anger. I don't want to be the angry Black woman, even though I've been there and done that. So it was, I would say in summary, it's about letting go and letting him, okay, now you really have to be you really have to own your role as he's always, when he's working, he's definitely a provider. Definitely. I honor him in that way. But it's about me letting go and letting that head and that process take its course. So I hope that answers your question.
Gosh,
absolutely. Thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks. And thank you for asking.
Right.
Also.
Yes, brother. Yes.
I know Sister Felisa said, the same and thanking you, but thanks for having us go a deeper layer in that, because that was really beautiful. And Sister Felisa, it sounds like what we're calling retirement, right, was really surrender.
Surrender.
Yes. Like full surrender.
Yes.
That is so beautiful. Congratulations again, right? Not just a retirement, but the surrender.
Thank you. I give thanks.
Giving thanks. And also Sister Megan in the chat said that podcast sounds amazing. I think we all agree on that, because I'm like, yes, to that.
Right.
All right. Capturing that wisdom. Right?
Right.
Like that is so important.
Right.
Giving thanks. Sister Felisa, who would you like to pass the light to?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see. Well, I think I heard Sister Constance and Brother Truth read, but I don't know that did they weigh in on the subject?
You got them now.
Okay, well, I'm passing the mic to my brother and my sister over there, Sister Constance and Brother Truth.
I'm sure.
There we go.
How are you all?
Bless.
Okay, I'll be starting off this evening. Wow. I know for Brother James, he knows this is like, well, and Sister Tanasia, this is like kind of breath for me. It's an opportunity to actually breathe, because, to be in a world where, it's not your world, and yet, you have a part to play in establishing your world, and you're just kind of waiting for the part to kind of situate themselves. And so this is what this means for me. So it's like every part of me as a being is like activated. Same time now having to manage everything being activated at the same time. And that in itself for me is work, to remain calm, to not overdo anything, and to just allow. So the entire process or everything about the chapter 1 is like someone took the nails out of a coffin. I grew up in a way where everything that we read about, it's weird. It's like I've lived many different types of lives. I was born in Alabama, of course, in rural Alabama, and like everything we read about, I experienced. Being with the elders, sitting with the elders, spending time always with the elders. That's like my childhood. My stepdad was literally, I think he was like 15 years older than my mother. He was born in 1933. And so everything that I learned pertaining to being a man, in the sense of providing and having and not really worrying, came from him. So I learned to hunt at a very young age. I learned to fish, the gardening and the farming and raising animals and everything. These are things that I did growing up. And then the other part that stood out is I grew up in that, but there were other elders around me that shared with me that I wasn't from here. So I was from here. So then that opened me up to another part of my being. It's like, wow. And so then after graduating, I left the country and went into the city, and it was like, oh, okay. And that's where I think for me, not I think I know, my first experience of consciousness, actually being like conscious, happened. Wow. So then experiencing that consciousness and having different aspects added to that consciousness through going through different spiritual houses and so on and so forth, I was introduced to different realities, different cultures, different ways of life. And then lo and behold, I'm back in Alabama now. So it's quite interesting being from the village per se, living the village life, leaving the village, going to the city, and having the city life and having that part of myself awakened and learning those aspects of things, and now returning to the village to actually reestablish the village. So it's quite profound for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
This just chapter 1 is just, I'm all over the place. So I'm just really holding it together. Holding it together. So I will pass it to my queen.
Okay. And really quick, Brother Truth.
Yes, sir.
2 things. One is, man, this is only chapter 1, right?
I know, right?
Just one. Just
right.
one. And 2 is, you said fishing again. Bring the rod.
Already packed, brother. It's already packed.
Ashe.
Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Greetings.
Peace and greetings, families. So what stood out for me on this read in this chapter? First of all, I want to say, Sister Keisha, I'm so, blessed that you're safe from your fire. I give thanks for you just still being here. It's a blessing. For me, it stood out in this chapter was about the elders. To be honest, there's so much work. I love the part where they're like, not everybody's trying to be an elder. Not everybody's trying to get on that bandwagon because it's a lot of work and you're working day and night. And it's not the most pretty and it's not the most rewarding, but it is the most necessary position, right? I look at that with my elders, and my grandmother was a minister and everybody in my family. So I'm familiar with what elders do, right? The good ones. And I'm also familiar with the ones that are of low vibration, that are base, so I was blessed to see both sides. But when looking at myself, to think that one day we are going to be the elders. And in this section, it was beautiful to see that there's 10 elders, because it's going to take all of our elders, all of us, to be able to bring that wisdom through, to actually bounce on each other, that energy flow to help, manifest in our young ones, our youth, or those young adults, or the adults underneath us, right? We're going to be able to give that to them from a place that is rooted inside of our soul and rooted inside of our wisdom and our mind that we were actually blessed to bring forth. I love that, and then to think, they hit on where people are going to take baths. They took baths in their river, and, they did. I looked, and Sister Shah was saying, it's strange to think that you could try to take water from a creek or a river around here, you're gonna get a fine.
Right.
And here where we are, like, we go out and we pick natural berries, blackberries, raspberries and blueberries. And we have a creek that if we anytime want some fresh water, we can go get it without worrying about the law. Matter of fact, they fill up the fire truck, so I know I can fill up my whole house. And these are things that our elders, our people before us did, and now it's going to come back. It's going to come back, where we're going to need to be familiar with, how to draw water, from a certain pool of water or a well, or how to even, find a source that we can do the plentifulness for everyone. I love that part. So for me, that stood out when it talked about the elders, because man, it's work. It's work. Some days I don't feel like what we're doing, like we're not doing nothing at all. I feel like I'm on a unicycle or something, something that's just going and going, a hamster wheel or something. But I know that what we're doing and what we're learning, because right now we're being thrown into our spiritual work deeply. We're being thrown into taking classes, doing the book study with, our collective. We're being forced to learn how to submit to doing classes, taking classes to better everyone. This isn't just for us.
Right.
When we're learning about infrastructure, it's not just for us, on the foundationalness on the inside and on the outside. So that stood out to me. I'm really going to enjoy this read, and the intimacy part, he and I have talked a lot about intimacy and what is it, and going beyond the physical. How do you reach that spiritual intimacy to where you are meditating and your meditation reaches those higher heights of grabbing each other, and you're holding each other in the intimacy of energy, as well as, then after there's physical. And it takes the understanding to where there's a different place. So I'm blessed to understand that now, because for many years of my life, before about 7 years ago, I can honestly say I was just moving without understanding fully. I was not in the know. And to know is to be fully familiar with. And I was not in the know. But today I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be able to give and receive energy. When I say I'm sending energy, I really know that I'm in a spiritual place before I even, share that. But that's going to go a long way. We're elders. This is going to be what we're going to do with all of our people. So
come on.
give thanks.
Give thanks, give thanks. And it's just so beautiful how each and every one of our shares thus far has really been about reflecting and witnessing, right? How this has already shown up in our path.
Yes. Yes.
In so many different ways. And so when we're talking, and Brother Ruli led with this when he was doing the reading, and he said, this is intimacy.
Yes.
When you can take what we're learning about, right, with this Dagara tribe in Ghana, right, the Ivory Coast, Togo, and looking at their way of life and seeing how it made its way across the ocean, right, and survived and thrived through generations to where we have presence right here now today, and not only just presence but knowledge and wisdom that's been passed on to us, and can allow ourselves to reclaim it. This is intimacy.
That's
exactly what Brother Ruli was saying, right? Into me see. I think this is where last season, when we talked about intimacy in the other books we were reading, Sister Megan and Brother Truth kind of had that merger of discussion, right? About that intimacy meaning into me see.
Yeah.
And so I just love that that's what we are already collectively experiencing from chapter 1. Chapter 1. Brother Truth, Sister Constance, who would you like to pass the light to?
We will pass it to Brother Corey.
Brother Cord.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
All right. So a couple things stood out, and some of it stood out even more so as people began to share. But the first thing that stood out was about the bus stopping every 10 miles and how that people don't seem to be in a hurry. So as we think about the concept of time, when you feel like you are in a hurry, I think it impact your groundedness and kind of embracing the natural order of things in the moment. So that was certainly something that stood out when I first read it, and I think going into chapter 2, that concept kind of revisits itself. But also, in addition to that, when people started to share about the wisdom that you gained from the elders, I think that was something that was profound for me. particularly as it relates to what Sister Felicia shared about honoring the elders while they're here and containing the wisdom that they have with them. I once heard a statement that when someone is wise in the family or in the community, when they transition, it's like a library being burned down. So it's important that we document and honor that, and to align that a little bit as it relates to time and the wisdom that you receive from your elders. Although I'm plant-based and vegan now, I did, growing up in Alabama, partake in hunting with my father. And when he used to go out into the hunting house and we used to be there together, we would sit there for hours waiting for a deer, just me and my father. And I used to wonder, how could he wait so long just to, find kill a deer? But I was thinking about that time of that moment of solace in between you going and entering that hunting house and potentially, gathering something for the family. That balance, that space in between was a moment of solace for him, and something that he honored coming up from Birmingham and living in the country where my mother is from. And he had a profound level of respect for his father-in-law, which essentially was his father figure. And one thing I noted before my father transitioned, is that he didn't go hunting as much later in his life because his father figure had transitioned. And at that moment of respecting that time with oneself to go out there and find solace in that journey of hunting, he kind of lost a little bit of that in that moment with his essentially his father figure transitioning. So the themes that I'm sharing is related to time and also honoring the elders and the wisdom that they contain.
Wow.
Ashe.
Hey, thank you for that. So let me just say, thank you for that share, brother Claude. So as you spoke on that, it made me reflect back on my hunting days.
You knew it would.
I'm telling you.
He was saying it, and I was like, oh my goodness, that sounds like you.
Right. So now I didn't go with my father because my father at the time, even though he came from down south, when he got to the city up here in New York, he was New York. He didn't do any of the things that he did, and he didn't pass that down to me because the life was just chaotic and he was working. But Spirit led me to a family that did hunt and taught me how to hunt and shoot and all that. But the solace that you described when you spoke about it, I immediately felt the way I felt sitting in a tree stand for hours and hours in the morning just by myself, and the peace that I had. And I can only imagine if I can go there today in the mindset that I am now, what will come in that peace. So just thank you for that share, because it was just so, for me, it was just such a reflection of a past. And so today I've heard about fishing, which was peace for me. Me and my father did do that.
Yeah.
And now hunting, but not just the killing of an animal, the peace, the journey of the hunting itself. So that's something I'm gonna have to actually sit down and journal about, because I say thank you for that.
As soon as he said it, I was like, wow, I feel like this is like, in part, I've heard you say, but when you mentioned when an elder transitions, it's like a library burned down.
Wow.
I had to look for my notebook because I'm like, I need to write that now. Like that is just
wow.
Like that is something that imprinted immediately when you said it. I won't forget that, because that's exactly what it's like. That's exactly what it's like. And so it just reinforces the whole notion of why it is imperative that we sit at the feet of our elders and just listen and learn and even scribe or podcast or whatever we can to preserve it so that it lives even beyond us. That was just, that put it in complete context. So thank you for sharing that.
Brother AJ has his hand up real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to thank you, Brother Core, for sharing that. And I just wanted to, if I can, throw some fuel on the fire for anybody that is dragging their feet on sharing those moments with the elders. I currently have a grandmother who is in her 90s. She literally got up every single day at 6 a.m., drove from Queens to Farmingdale, and she didn't take the highways. So from Farmers Boulevard in Merrick to Farmingdale, every day she drove into her 70s to go to work. Strongest woman I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
Even up to the point now where she is struggling with dementia, it heightens that sickness because she's so used to being so dependent. And so I wanted to throw some fuel on the fire for anybody who has an elder that they haven't sat with, has a podcast that they're looking to put out. I now cannot have those conversations with her because her mind is gone.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
And so this share for me was equally important because I realized what I missed out on. There was probably a lot of download from that woman that I could have took that may have helped within my marriage, may have helped within just life in general, right? Somebody who's seen 70 years on this earth have definitely experienced a lot. And so I want to make sure that, again, I speak to anybody here who does have an elder that they want to experience that time with. Make it tomorrow if you can, right? Because nobody's tomorrows are promised.
Ashe.
Ashe.
That was powerful.
I say thank you for that, brother AJ.
And vulnerable. And
Yeah.
we give thanks for you sharing that and charging us up with that.
I say.
Giving thanks.
Giving thanks. I say.
Wow.
And then Brother Cord, you can pass the light, my brother.
Ashe, I believe I know Brother Ruli started off by defining intimacy for us, so I want to give him space if he has not to contribute in this portion. I don't think he is.
Ashe. Hopefully he is.
Yep, he's done.
Up there he goes. Yep.
Brother, really, we can't hear you.
You're very low. Can't.
We hear something, right? Like it sounds quite faint in the background.
All right, how about now?
There you go. Perfect.
Perfect.
My bad. I'm sorry about that. No, it wasn't meant for y'all to hear that because I was complaining about having an Android, so y'all wasn't supposed to listen.
No Android complaints. I'm
Right.
Android too.
We Android over here.
Supposed to hear some of those words I was using. But I would. Okay, I'm not even going. A lot of things, as you guys were talking, a lot of clarity and a lot of points that I wanted to touch on came to my mind. So I'm trying to, bring it down and articulate it properly. So I'm gonna just paint a picture real quick because I was actually walking to the Chinese store. I was actually walking to the Chinese store as I was listening, and I just wanted to put some visuals in everybody's mind because I heard multiple questions, redundant questions. Okay, we only got a few more minutes. Redundant questions of how do we get back to that? How do we get back to that? And I thought about a couple of things. My children, right? If I say I go, what do y'all say? All right. How do we get back to it? The language. Number one. I think about something that we used to see regularly on the corner in the ghetto. You see the old heads with the 40-ounce old English, or the drug dealers with the Mad Dog 2020 or the St. Ides, and they used to pour a little bit.
to the dead homies. That was actually libation. Huh? I remember this movie that this white guy produced on the crump dancing from Los Angeles, right? And in that movie, the movie is actually called Crump, Krump. I'm quite sure y'all know about it. And in that movie, he juxtaposed African tribes on the same screen, African tribes. I said it to the brothers before on our call, and the California kids doing the crump, and it was identical.
Wow.
Identical. And the African tribe video was in black and white. That's how old it was. Remembering, huh? Remembering. There was a fourth thing that I can't remember, but the point of me bringing that up is the question is, how do we get back to that? We admiring these words like it's far off, like it's we gotta wait to die, like heaven. We gotta wait to die in order to get back there. No, it's just about remembering that is already in us. Like the seeds that Brother Truth and Sister Constance talk about, and the other sister, and the sitting with the elders, and all the things that we used to do is already, the ingredients are already in us. The problem is we're trying to balance out living in a capitalistic society, which is nothing wrong with it. I love money, y'all know me. There's nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, how do we get to that true living and civilization, quote unquote, that we used to have, that true living that we used to have, that was free of the stress, the cortisol that caused the cancer that we probably never fucking had to deal with, you know, when we was left alone. All the other mental problems that come along with this thing that we're dealing with, right? Money itself. When previously we were bartering, or we were using the cowrie shells, or we were trading services, huh? But to go into that, that community part, this was the other thing I was thinking about, that community part. If you understand the intimacy that the author is bringing, because when you guys first put it in the chapter, I'm gonna start talking fast because my mind's going fast. When you first put it in the WhatsApp chat and in the text message, you said intimacy. I forgot the title. I'm thinking about relationships. Like, okay, cool. I'm just going to do a break. Let me listen to what they talk about, because I already broke over the chick. So let's see what the book is, right? The author is going way left, but it's actually not left, because all that community activity built confidence and self-worth and value and all those other building blocks that would make that young boy a full and healed man. He don't even experience mental problems that we got here, the emotional problems. They don't even experience that, because what they being built up in the community, they experiencing pure love, and they love themselves by the time they 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And when they're 30 years old, they're replicating that family unit that was built on love. The intimacy, as I said in the beginning, started what do I mean when I say the aura of the community? When somebody has an aura, when they come around you, you feel a certain way. You feel that word. You understand what I'm saying? The aura of the community that we are hearing about is dependability, reliability, love, cooperation, kuji chagalia, all the shit we talk about, right? The aura of the community that is being discussed in these beginning pages is telling us this is where the intimacy starts. It is not romance, Brother Truth always says that. It's not the Roman way of razzling and dazzling in your woman. It's not, no. This community recipe that we're hearing about, that they're giving us, that was also talked about in William Chancellor's Destruction of the Black Civilization, it is also in there in the beginning chapters. That's why I always say read the book from the blank back of the cover to the end. It was also discovered in, and if you listen to what I described in the movie that I recommended to y'all, The Guys Was Crazy, I said they don't even beat their children. It was a total different way of life. That small portion that I gave y'all was the visuals to everything that we are reading right now. I'm gonna go back to the beginning. One of the things that was said in the beginning of the chapter that Brother Pope and Sister Tanasia read was, we are in our infancy we are cut off from the culture of our intimacy, something like that. Like we are in the intimacy phase of the intimacy. We are the infancy phase of our cultural intimacy, something like that.
We got you on it. We are culturally in our adolescence concerning intimacy.
We are culturally in our adolescence
concerning intimacy.
Concerning our intimacy. Huh? That's because we did. Okay, I can't say that. I'm not going to generalize it like that, right? We have not connected the dots of all the things that our grandparents gave us. Small things, like if you were old enough in the 80s, when you used to wash your clothes on the run board in the tub, huh? Work ethic, time alone, all the time that you're talking about with the fishing and the shoot, all the little things. Washing it with the run board, putting the onions on your feet when the child gets sick, putting the copper chain around your neck when the child get a running. It's there. You just gotta remember. The problem is the balance. So that we can continue that. And it starts with, when I gave the example, when I just said, I go to my children and say, I make, it starts with remembering. It starts with the language.
That's it.
It starts with the culture in the house. It starts with us remembering and now rebuilding what was forgotten. And no blame on us, right? That's the word. That's not what the phrase I want to use, but at no cause of our own, right? The forgetting that happened. Now it's up to us, and we're doing a great job. Like I was just looking at Brother Pope, and I was just looking at the Kirikou. If you ever saw Kirikou, he had a grandpop that lived in the cave. Brother Pope got the Kirikou grandfather aura going on. If you don't know Kirikou, all children gotta watch Kirikou. Like that's a must. We're doing a great job, Brother Pope and Sister Tanasia doing a great job of providing a space for us to remember and rebuild and regenerate ourselves, because it's working. I said this on one of my lives that I do. Believe me, it's working. There isn't anything that we put out that goes in vain. It's working.
I say.
Guarantee you it's working. So we're in a remembering state, and we are entrusted with it. Yeah, we get to talk to each other, right? This is the dojo. I heard somebody say that. But when we go out into the world and talk to people who don't know shit about Grand Rising, that's the real work.
Come on. That's right.
It's the real work. So it's the remembering, and being entrusted with this is a scary thing. It's cool amongst us. Yeah. But when you go out to the world, you gotta like still assimilate, but try to keep your own identity, and then understand that there's a responsibility and help, and be patient with people, and be patient with this girl, and be patient with this cousin, and be patient. Totally different thing. So the intimacy is in the community, and this is something that we're building, that you guys are doing a great job, all of us doing a great job at taking the responsibility and living on it, not just reading it, and not just reading the fucking, what you call these ones, the stones. And the brothers know me, I don't do it, y'all, no. If it ain't in my blood, then I ain't real. If it ain't in my blood, it ain't real. So we're doing it. It's the remembering. That's how we get back to it. We get back to it with the remembering, and it's the language. All the things that we think are insignificant are very powerful. Sometimes I'll be like, my fingers be like, don't you type no fucking happy birthday, but sometimes I don't feel like writing Solar Return or Earth Strong. I'll be like, fuck it, just put HBD, right? But it is in the words.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is. And that's where the great remember, I'm gonna call it that. That's where the great remembering comes back into place, so that we can be back in that space and place, even if it's just in your own house. Just like a lot of us got, some people got an altar, some people got a place where you put your prayer rug, some people got a place where you got your cross. There has to be a place where, if you want to create that utopian environment that we used to have, there has to be a space for that, even if it's just a chair and with the kids here. I'm only speaking out of relevance, with the kids here, and you just reading the book 15, 20 minutes, and that brings us to that mindset. Or talking about grandma, what grandma used to do. All my girlfriends probably, they tired of me talking about my grandma, because everything is, that's the litmus test. My grandma used to do that. My grandma used to, I don't give a fuck about the Tylenol. My grandma used to do this, right? Because my grandma was everything, man. My grandma, I saw my grandma make coffee out of the burn that was on the fucking toast. I saw my grandma walk outside to the front yard that we used to play with and watch the dogs and coming in, and she found sassafras. And she right there with the sassafras. We were so fucking ungrateful. My grandma in the dining room was a glass table. You know, every grandparent from the South, you can't touch the chinaware, you can't touch the etiquette, you can't touch the table with the glass with the pictures, you can't touch this table. That table was all the herbs. And our moms and us kids were so ignorant that we didn't even appreciate that everything that was on that table is the fucking style right now. All the wormwood, all the black walnut, all the ungrateful. So now is the time for the remembering. I love my grandma now because in retrospect, I'm like, damn, grandma used to eat onions and like straight like that. Put the salt on there, put it in a mason jar, and then let it sit for a couple of days and eat the syrup one spoonful. She used to eat garlic, not knowing that they kill parasites. And we just looking at grandma like watching our Tom and Jerry.
What is going on, right?
Watching Tom and Jerry laughing, thinking grandma crazy. And then I came like 3 days close to fucking death because we were so fucking ungrateful. So it's the great remembering that's going to bring us back to that, and we are entrusted with that. And it's not anything light. It's not anything light. I mean, it's not anything light. So.
Ashe.
Wow, brother Billy.
Ashe. Like I felt like that was like a show. Like I feel like I started at some point, brother, really to really like even picture your grandmother.
Right.
You know, it's just it is a great remembering. It is a truly grand rising.
Yes.
Right? It is an uprising.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. And just listening to Brother Ruli, it just made me, I'm so grateful. Like I was a grandparent's baby. My mom was young when she had me. My father had been killed. And so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents on both sides and then also great grandparents. And so I'm just, I'm so grateful. And just hearing Brother Ruli talk about, the things that would kind of make you raise an eyebrow, like, what is she doing with them onions? You know what I mean? Like, and it's so true. I'm grateful to now be able to put it into a different context, Brother Ruli. So giving thanks for you taking that very nostalgic road of like, grandma's house and how to make it your house. Like you said, returning to the old practices, returning to the verbiage and having it not be unfamiliar any longer to our children and our families. Like I just love that share. Good thing.
And Brother Ruli, I was when you said, your girls that you used to deal with, they probably all was sick of you talking about your grandmother, right? I laughed because my wife always talks about
my grandfather.
My grandfather didn't do it that way.
My
grandfather didn't know it. So I was laughing, but
my grandfather would have.
Right, my grandfather would have. But like you say, you get a new appreciation, for those words and things that were taught and passed down to you that it comes back nowadays and you say, you know what? Okay, yeah, your grandfather didn't do that. Why did he do it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why do we lose that? No, tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? How do we bring some of that back in our family? I also loved how Brother Willie talked about sitting down in just a chair with your kids and just reading.
Yeah.
Like it's the little things or even conversation.
Yeah.
Just taking those times out to just huge. And we lose that because of the rat race of the world.
Yes, not making the time.
Correct. Back to the time again, right? So thank you.
Beautiful share.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that share.
Giving thanks. I think we have Sister Leash. Sister Leash, peace and greetings, sis.
Peace and greetings, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm at mommy's house. Speaking of the elders,
Sending love to y'all. Sending love to y'all.
Thank you. I want to say first, my deepest condolences to everyone who has had loss, in their family. I too myself experienced loss about 2 weeks ago. But I want to say that, am I the last one to share?
Yes.
All for good reason. Every piece of everyone, each of you that has shared was like a puzzle piece. And here I come to offer the last piece to the puzzle. And I want to say that because we're so divinely, spiritually connected. Like it's in order, for sure. It's in order. So first, I want to say I went back and forth. Am I going to, join this season? Am I going to do the intimacy? Because at first, intimacy, especially because I'm married, my first thought was, I know Judah's not going to go on. First, he's working, but, I don't feel like going through that tug of, could you join with me? It's intimacy, because that was my first thought process. But when intimacy with self was mentioned at the top of the discussion, that ignited something in me. And it gave me a sort of, how could I say it, peace, I guess, so to speak, that you are granted to be here. You're supposed to be here. So I'm happy that I move forward and listen to spirit. So first, I jotted down so many things because I had so many aha moments, and plus I had so many moments where, oh my goodness, I too am experiencing that. So first for me, what came up was mind, so to speak, where in our day-to-day, we are taught to respect people's time. It was on time and be on time. And God forbid if that was not the case, because of a mishap or for any reason, for some internally, you kind of feel a sense of anxiety or urgency when you're not on time. As to where reading, in our read today, the quote, hurry up, is non-existent. Time is truly in synchronized motion with respect, understanding, and flow. Just that alone frees a large portion of the day-to-day stress from oneself. Because the rushing and the I got to make it on time and or respect, that's a big thing. I heard a pastor say that in the past, respect people's time. And that stuck with me because I'm usually a late bird. So that stuck with me, and it was a big thing for me. And I still kind of hold on to that because, yes, the life we live, people always have something to do. So that just stood out for me, that I just visually, it was like a synchronization of community just flowing. And, and the peace and knowing and the love and knowing that, okay, it's going to flow. They will be here, or she will be here, or he will get here, or it's divine timing. It's not about people time. It's divine time. And the next thing that I jotted down was, for me, was mind and body, the community dynamic of title with, there was mom and dad or sister and brother, the dynamic of title toward one another brought my mind to what happens now and again, where maybe our daughters would run in the house and greet me with excitement because maybe that day there was a need for mommy, and my husband would jokingly say, well, I didn't get that type of love when you came in, so I couldn't even fathom or imagine in a wide village of community, our children leaving our space to lean into another member of the community or tribe, so have you, for spiritual or emotional connection for a day or a night. So that stuck out to me too, and that gave me a visual as well. But when I caught a glimpse of the visual, like my sister Tanasia mentioned, my spirit highlighted past traumas. And for that, which in turn, it birthed a mentality of protection. I have to protect my own, because there's no trust in the community. And it can even be a family member, So on the flip side of that is truly my heart, my spirit yearned for community, to be gathered under the guardianship and wisdom of the elders, for our children and children's children to be guided by conscious, spirit-filled, strong sister and brothers, all accounted as trusted family members. That's what I yearn. I speak so much about community and the visuals that I have about us just all living, in community. I see it so much. I visualize it so much. And it's just where we're at right now in this state of the world. It seems so far-fetched. But then when I see Sister Constance and Brother Truth, I just place myself there, where I believe, one day we need to travel there and, just commune with each other and build. And that's just speaking from the far left. That's just what I feel. And in closing, in spirit, to connect to Sister Megan when she said she really didn't know her cousin. I too lost a loved one a couple, weeks ago, like I said, where I had to travel to South Carolina for the services. And for us, traveling from New York, although I knew my Uncle Stan as a child, I didn't know him into my womanhood. So to experience the extension of his life in such grandeur made my heart so full, to have such a deep spiritual connection with his wife and a community he built there after he left New York. They lived in Atlanta, and then his services was in South Carolina because he had extended family in South Carolina. I emotionally felt the responsibility to keep family connected. I felt a sense of responsibility because we're not, we see each other more on at funerals. I can't even say weddings, funerals. And when I see family gather, it just warms my heart. It brings me joy, even when, James and Tanasia, when you guys share, your family things that you do, it's beautiful. And I think, well, I know that in that moment, I had felt a responsibility to carry that coming back home. So in relation to what Brother Cord spoke about the elders and everything, my travel back to New York was with the matriarch of our family and, her tender age, Aunt Carol, of 84. She is full of family fruit. Her branches are extensive. Every opportunity I get, I eat. I am still learning things about our family from her that, they banned me from taking the airplane, my mom and my aunt. My mom is the youngest that's left out of 9. So that's what we had with Sister Felicia. I believe she said she had 9. Brother Zoid was 9 of them. My mother, they were brothers and sisters of 9, and there's only 2 of them left. My mother's being the youngest sister, and my aunt being the oldest sister. And these two would not get on the airplane. So we had to do Amtrak. I'd never been on Amtrak, and I said, oh my goodness, I have to convince them to go on an airplane. But of course, they won. And we did Amtrak, but all for good reason. We got to share, we got to talk. They poured so much into me.
Goodness.
I needed that. I needed that ride, that journey. I got to write, I got to listen back to things, rediscover things within. So it was a blessing, all in all. So I am still learning things about our family from her that I am blessed to have learned now, because I was not mature enough to receive it before, good and bad. But all in all, I pray that the Most High strategy overrides whatever I have planned, meaning in my flesh. I pray that he gives me the tools and or the people, the community, you guys give me so much that, every encounter, every share, every call we have, I am so honored to be in company. So yeah, with that, I am complete. That's that.
Ashe. Oh my goodness, that was just so filling. It was so filling, sis. And when you said they wouldn't take the plane, they wanted to take the train, I immediately, my mind went directly to chapter 1 again, right? That whole idea of just letting the trip take as long as it needs to take, and that consciousness again about time. And then when you talked about what came of that time together, it's like, this is time well spent. Time well spent. It just keeps coming back. It keeps coming back. You said it was going to be the piece of the puzzle, and it was. It was. And the question that came into spirit for me was, sis, when you did your doula certification, where did you go for that?
I went, one of the sisters that we share this space with, gave me the information for her, for her doula, and she was starting to offer trainings. So I traveled to Atlanta. So blessed in that also as well. And that's how I became certified to become a doula. So yeah.
That dropped in my spirit because I was like, I feel like she went south for that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was talk about spiritual and just I learned so much there, even outside of becoming a doula. I just learned so much spiritual work there and community as well. They're really big in the South on community, and it's just different. So yeah, I was blessed by that journey, and just to touch on the podcast, as Sister Felicia spoke of, I know she's going to do it. It's going to be amazing. But and actually, I don't want to use the word but. I had the same nudge, but for the youth, because they so many times are silenced. Do what I say, listen to what I say, but they have thoughts, they have ideas, they have feelings, emotions. And I've been holding on to this for a little while. And I really feel like, it's time for me to just sit down and just have conversations with the youth, my children, my godchildren, just children in general. I have such a connection with, young kids. So just to sit down and, pick their brain and see what's going on with them. Because they have so much to share and so much to express that they hold in. So
Beautiful.
yeah,
That is
beautiful.
I'm happy she mentioned that, because that allowed me to revisit that in spirit and mind as well.
Ashe. I absolutely love that. And even you mentioning that and then circling us back to Sister Felisa when she spoke about it from the eldership side, it just reminded me of I talk to my grandmother daily. Like we talk every day, right? And we just kiki. I love speaking to my grandmother. But what you just said, Sister Alicia, it really resonated with me because no matter the difference in our generations and our age, my grandmother she'll still ask me as if I add value to her life as well, even in all her wisdom. She will say to me, Nisha, what did you put in that, meal that you made? You know what I mean? What recipe do you use when you make an insert in the blank, right? Or I had this discussion with this person and this is how it went. What do you think about that? Like how would you have handled? And it's like everything you just said, sis, like whether it's a child or even just someone younger than, right? That person who's in eldership, it's so heartwarming and it makes you feel so valued when someone of eldership, right, kind of seeks that in you too and holds space for the idea that you can bring something to the table. So I love that
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
So
Yes.
much.
Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe, I give thanks. Like this just, I gotta tell you, it makes me emotional every time we do this because it is spirit. It's spirit. James and I were so intentional about wanting the slides and even the next book to be exactly how spirit introduced it to us. You know, it was like we went through rites of passage and this was the book that spirit introduced to us, next. And when we went into it, the idea of intimacy is what came forward. And because in that season, we were going through the other books, right? And we started speaking through it. And so we were so intentional about wanting to lead with that, to say, let's first get calibrated and all on the same page about see truly is in our DNA from where it came, and the etymology of it. And so when we're hearing from you all that it connected with you the way it connected with us, it is like y'all are our folks. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just you feel so seen, you feel so established and belonging, like there was no over explaining, right? Y'all overstand and understand. And I'm grateful.
That's it.
I'm grateful.
Yes. It's I always say this, like whenever we come back as a collective, I always say it's like coming back home. It's coming back with family. And I'm so excited because this is again only chapter 1, week 1. But I'm so full.
Gotcha.
And just listening to everybody and the shares and just, I believe, yeah, Sister Megan said in there, sending you love as I missed you, Sister Alicia.
Yes.
And that's what I feel about all of us. Like when you hear the voices and you feel the frequencies and you feel the energy, it was missed. And I'm in gratitude for us being back and on this journey. Because that's another thing when you talk about time. It's not about where you're at or the destination. The journey itself is where the blessings and everything is at. So I'm excited and thankful for the journey. So.
Ashe, ashe. And so tonight, I know we took some time so that we could read through because we wanted everyone to really be at the same starting space, And so with the next session, we'll just ask that everyone, read into chapter 2.
Yes.
Read into chapter 2 ahead of the call and, highlight, make whatever notations you need about what we talked about here, and we can actually drop the slide into the chat that has those same questions, right? And so that we can really embody the experience through the mind, body, and spirit of what's coming forward for us. And then that way next week we'll have on the screen actually excerpts, right, that kind of came up for us. But if the excerpts that came up for you were something other than that, bring them forward, and then we'll even have more time to share on the call. And so, Sister Lisa, family, I send love to everyone. I have been on the call, so I'm going to excuse myself and spend a little time with Mom before I go home. Ashe, and sending love to your mom as well. So, and the family, giving thanks.
All right.
So, oh my goodness, y'all. This has been an incredible, incredible start. It's only chapter 1. So I'm just so energized for us to move through all of this. I'm going to go back so that we can reshare the screen and move through our closing affirmation. All right. So if you didn't have an opportunity before, to go ahead and screenshot if you wanted, to have this. But this is going to be the cadence, right? This is going to be the rhythm of our inquiry as we step through each chapter. All right. Now going on to our closing affirmation. But before we do that, did anyone have anything that they wanted to ask or share before we part? Okay. Okay. We're complete.
All right. So again, family, as always, this is repeat and recall. So if you are in spirit to unmute, repeat and recall with me. It's always appreciated. Ashe. All right. I am grateful for the insights gained.
I am
I'm grateful for the insights gained.
I carry the strength of our community with me.
I carry the strengths of our community with me.
I continue my journey with love and purpose.
I continue my journey with love and purpose.
Until we meet again in gratitude and growth.
Until
we meet again in gratitude and growth. Ashe.
Love you, family.
We love you all so much. Giving thanks. Thank you for holding space and sharing space.
Blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
Good night.
Good night.